Today, we're stepping inside the world of corporate India to look at a story about a promise. You know, that core agreement between an employee and a huge multinational company. And more importantly, we're going to see what happens when that trust gets completely shattered.
It's really the ultimate David versus Goliath story, just, set in an office building. It makes you wonder, right? When a massive global company decides to play hardball, what chance does one single person really have?
All right, so let's meet the man at the center of this story, Arvind Malhotra. He's a professional, mid-career, who thought he'd landed a great job with a company that had this amazing global reputation for being ethical. For him, it wasn't just a job, it was a covenant, a serious pact.
And this is where things start to go sideways. On the outside, the company was the picture of professionalism, but the story alleges that behind the scenes, it was a totally different game. Indian labor laws weren't seen as unbreakable rules, but more like annoying little obstacles that you could bend or just find a way around.
Now, this wasn't just some simple misunderstanding over a paycheck. The source material describes a very deliberate, systematic approach, like a corporate playbook, designed to put an employee in an impossible position. So let's peel back the layers and see what this playbook actually looked like.
This was a full-on squeeze play. First, you withhold their salary to create immediate financial panic. Then, you hold key documents hostage, like their experience letter, which basically stops them from getting another job. It's a strategy of overwhelming pressure, designed to completely corner a person and put their entire career on the line.
And here we have it in the company's own words. This email makes everything, the money, the documents, the whole shebang, dependent on one single thing, returning a company laptop. I mean, on the surface, that sounds pretty reasonable. But as we'll see, this one little piece of hardware becomes the entire linchpin of the dispute.
So the company's official response? It was a classic two-step. First, they insisted that everything they did was fully compliant with the law. And second, they dropped the not-so-subtle hint that they were well-equipped for a legal fight. It's that classic corporate move, deny everything while also reminding you they have an army of lawyers. But just when things looked their absolute darkest, the ground started to shift. This wasn't just about Arvind's case anymore. Something much bigger was happening in India's legal world, a real turning point that would give hope not just to him, but to so many others in his position.
Okay, you really need to see this, because this right here is a total game changer. Look at the language the courts are using in these recent cases. Economic harassment, weaponizing HR, corporate fraud. Wow. The courts weren't just siding with employees, they were sending a loud and clear signal to companies that these kinds of tactics are just not going to fly anymore. This was the new reality.
And this is what brings us back to Arvind. Imagine seeing these rulings and realizing, wait a second, it's not just me. He saw that he was part of a pattern and that the law was finally starting to catch up. And that knowledge, well, it changed everything. It transformed him from feeling like a victim into someone ready to be a victor.
So, the company tries to call his bluff. They put it all on him, saying the only thing left to do was return the asset. And then, they hit him with the challenge. Show us the proof. You can just imagine them thinking he'd have nothing. It was a power move they probably thought he could never counter.
Oh, but Arvind didn't just have proof. He had kept every single receipt. Let's walk through it. First up, Exhibit A, a photo of the laptop and all its accessories, neatly packed up and ready to be shipped.
Next, the paper trail. This right here is the airway bill from the courier, the official shipping document. This is hard evidence that the package wasn't just packed, it was actually sent. The tracking number is right there for the world to see.
And here's the final nail in the coffin, the online tracking confirmation. Check out the status. Delivered. It shows the exact date and time the company got the package. Their one condition for holding his pay and documents was met, and Arvind had the undeniable digital proof. So, with a folder full of evidence and the power of these new legal rulings behind him, Arvind did what he had to do. He filed a formal complaint with the labor commissioner, laying out the entire story, from the breach of contract to how the company basically forced him out. The fight was now official.
You see, Arvind's story is so much bigger than just one guy's struggle. It really is a wake-up call. It shines a massive spotlight on a systemic problem and forces us all to talk about corporate accountability and how we protect employee rights in the modern workplace.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's a call for everyone to be vigilant. The source material is basically saying, hey, don't be fooled by the shiny lobby or the glossy brochure. It's a reminder for employees to be aware of their rights and for the authorities to be proactive and stop these things before they happen.
when you boil it all down, past all the emails and the legal threats, what are we really talking about here? What's the fundamental moral of this whole story?
And it all comes down to this really powerful idea. Justice in the workplace should never be a gift that a company decides to give you. It's not a favor. It should be a fundamental, non-negotiable legal right for every single employee. And that is the real lesson from this corporate tale.